The last defense station exploded in a ball of fire. Commander Hyun-woo watched from the command center as another piece of hope disappeared. His hands gripped the edge of the control panel so hard that his knuckles turned white. The screen showed the terrible truth. The Kravik fleet was winning. They were always going to win. Talara Prime was the last world of the Velroth people. Every other colony had fallen. Every other city had burned. The Kravik Empire did not believe in mercy. They believed in total destruction. General Tharvex, their commander, had made it clear. The Velroth would cease to exist by the end of this day. Hyun-woo looked at the tactical display. 10 Kravik warships for every 1 Velroth defender. The mathematics of death were simple. His people had built their civilization on science and diplomacy. They had spent centuries learning how to talk instead of fight. The Kravik had spent those same centuries learning how to kill. Admiral Ji-won appeared on the main screen. Her face was covered in soot and blood. Behind her, sparks flew from damaged systems. Her flagship was dying just like everything else. "We have lost sections 4 through 9, Ji-won said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed the truth. "Hull breaches on all decks. Life support is failing. We have maybe 20 minutes before we lose main power." Hyun-woo wanted to give orders. He wanted to tell her to retreat, to save her crew, to run. But there was nowhere to run. Behind them was Talara Prime. Behind them were 3 billion Velroth people who could not evacuate fast enough. Behind them were children and families and everyone they had ever known. "Keep fighting," was all he could say. Ji-won nodded once and cut the connection. On the display, her ship turned back toward the enemy. She was going to ram them. It was the only weapon she had left. A bright flash lit up the screen. Another orbital platform died. The Kravik were systematically destroying everything. They moved with perfect efficiency. Their shields absorbed every shot. Their weapons never missed. They had done this 100 times before to 100 other species. Hyun-woo thought about his family. His wife and daughter were in the underground shelters. The shelters would not save them. Nothing would save them. When the Kravik finished with the fleet, they would bombard the planet. The shelters would become tombs. "Commander," a young officer shouted. "The Kravik are launching ground assault ships. They are heading for the population centers." Of course they were. The Kravik did not just kill military targets. They wanted everyone dead. They wanted to erase the Velroth from existence. Hyun-woo had read the reports from other worlds. The Kravik took their time. They made it painful. "How many ships do we have left?" Hyun-woo asked. The officer checked his screen. 17 fighters. 4 frigates. Admiral Ji-won's flagship, he paused. "That is all, sir. 22 ships against a fleet of 200. It was not a battle. It was an execution. Send a message on all frequencies," Hyun-woo said. "Tell anyone who can hear us that the Velroth are making their last stand. Tell them we fought with honor. Tell them to remember us." The officer started typing. His hands shook. Everyone in the command center knew they were writing their own obituary. Ji-won's voice cut through the silence. "Commander, I am broadcasting a distress call. I know no one will answer, but I have to try. I have to believe someone out there cares." Hyun-woo nodded even though she could not see him. "Do it, Admiral. Send the call to every corner of space. Let the galaxy know what the Kravik are." The distress signal went out. It screamed across every frequency. It carried the simple truth. The Velroth were dying. They needed help. They needed a miracle. Minutes passed. The Kravik continued their advance. They were close enough now that Hyun-woo could see individual ships on the display. Massive warships covered in weapons. Each one could destroy a city with a single shot. "They are targeting the capital," someone said. 5 million people. Hyun-woo closed his eyes. He thought about his daughter's laugh. He thought about his wife's smile. He thought about every peaceful day his people had enjoyed. All of it was ending. "Sir!" The young officer jumped from his seat. "We have a contact." A ship just appeared at the edge of the system. Everyone turned to look. On the screen, a single small vessel appeared. It was tiny compared to the Kravik warships. It looked old. It looked fragile. But it was moving fast. Impossibly fast. "Is it Kravik?" Hyun-woo asked. "No, sir. The signature does not match anything in our database. It is completely unknown." The unknown ship sent a transmission. The voice was calm. The words were spoken in perfect Velroth language. "This is Captain Tae-young. I received your distress call. Hold the line. Help has arrived." Hyun-woo stared at the screen. One ship, one voice. One person who had answered their call. Who are you? Hyunwoo transmitted back. I am human, Taeyang replied, and I am here to help. The word meant nothing to Hyunwoo. He had never heard of humans. No Velroth had. This species was completely unknown. But as Hyunwoo watched the small ship accelerate toward the Kravik fleet, he felt something he had not felt in weeks. Hope. Lieutenant Hana gripped the controls of her fighter. Her hands were steady now. Fear had given way to something else. Focus. Captain Taeyang had given her a target and a plan. She was going to follow both. All fighters stay low, Taeyang's voice instructed. Use the planet's gravity well. Make them come to you. When they do, scatter. Do not engage directly. Hit and run. Always keep moving. Hana had been trained to fight head-on, to meet the enemy with courage and hold the line. But Taeyang was teaching them something different. He was teaching them to be like water, to flow around the enemy instead of crashing against them. The Kravik sent a squadron after the fighters, 12 heavy interceptors against 16 Velroth fighters. The Kravik had better shields, better weapons, better everything, but they did not have Taeyang's tactics. Break formation, Hana ordered her squadron. Execute pattern Delta 7. It was a pattern Taeyang had just taught them. The fighters split apart in 6 different directions. The Kravik interceptors hesitated. They were programmed to chase targets in formation. Suddenly there was no formation to chase. Hana dove toward the planet's surface. 2 Kravik interceptors followed her. She let them get close. Closer. They were almost in firing range. Then she pulled up hard. The interceptors tried to follow, but they were too heavy, too slow. They could not match her turn. She looped around behind them. Now she was the hunter. She fired her weapons. The shots were precise. She did not waste energy trying to destroy them. Instead, she targeted their engines. 1 interceptor lost power. The other spun out of control. 2 down, she reported. Excellent work, Lieutenant, Taeyang said. All fighters, did you see that? That is how you win when you are outmatched. You make them fight your battle, not theirs. In the command center, Hyunwoo watched the tactical display change. For the first time in weeks, the red markers representing Kravik ships were disappearing faster than the blue Velroth markers. It was a small change, but it was real. Commander, we have a request from engineering, an officer said. Engineer Dong Hyun wants to speak with Captain Taeyang. Hyunwoo opened the channel. Dong Hyun appeared on screen. The engineer looked exhausted but excited. Captain Taeyang, I have been analyzing your weapon signatures. Your ship uses kinetic projectiles, metal slugs fired at high velocity. That technology is centuries old by galactic standards. Why do you use it? Taeyang's response was immediate. Because it works. Energy weapons are powerful, but they require a lot of power. They can be absorbed by shields. They can be redirected. A solid piece of metal moving at high speed does not care about shields. It punches through. Dong Hyun nodded rapidly. Yes, I see. The Kravik shields are designed to deflect energy, not physical impacts. We could modify our weapons to fire projectiles instead of beams. Do it, Hyunwoo ordered. How long will it take? For the remaining frigates? Maybe an hour. We have the materials. We just need to reconfigure the firing systems. You have 30 minutes, Hyunwoo said. We may not survive an hour. Dong Hyun saluted and disappeared from the screen. Hyunwoo turned his attention back to the battle. Admiral Jiwon's flagship was executing Taeyang's plan. It looked suicidal. It probably was suicidal, but it was working. Jiwon had positioned her damaged ship between 2 Kravik battleships. The Kravik were firing at her from both sides. Her shields were almost gone. Hull breaches were opening all over the ship, but she was not trying to survive. She was trying to make the Kravik destroy each other. The Kravik beams passed through her ship and hit the battleship on the other side. The Kravik were shooting their own vessels. By the time they realized what was happening, both battleships were heavily damaged. Jiwon limped away from the crossfire. Her ship was barely functional, but she was alive. And she had taken 2 Kravik battleships out of the fight. Human tactics, she reported. They are effective. Taeyang's ship was everywhere at once. He moved so fast that he appeared on 5 different parts of the battlefield in the span of minutes. Every time he appeared, a Kravik ship died or was disabled. He was like a ghost. Impossible to track, impossible to hit. Captain Taeyang, Hyunwoo asked, how did humans learn to fight like this? There was a pause. When Taeyang spoke again, his voice was quieter. Sadder. We learned by fighting each other, Commander. For thousands of years, humans have been at war. We fought over land, resources, beliefs, pride. We became very good at killing. We had to learn these tactics because if we did not, we would be destroyed by other humans. Hyunwoo felt a chill. The Velroth had never fought themselves. They had always worked together. The idea of a species at constant war with itself was horrifying. That is terrible, Hyunwoo said. Yes, Taeyang agreed. It is terrible. But it made us survivors. It taught us that the biggest enemy is not always the strongest one. Sometimes the biggest enemy is the one who refuses to give up. Hana's squadron had destroyed 8 Kravik interceptors. They had lost only 3 fighters. The remaining Kravik were retreating. Hana could not believe it. The Kravik never retreated. They are afraid, Taeyang explained. They came here expecting easy prey. Now they are dying. Fear is a powerful weapon. Use it. Donghyun's voice crackled over the communication system. Commander, we have finished the modifications. The frigates are now equipped with kinetic weapons. We are ready to test them. Target the nearest Kravik destroyer, Hyunwoo ordered. The 4 remaining frigates turned toward a Kravik destroyer. They fired their new weapons. Metal projectiles streaked through space. The Kravik shields tried to deflect them. The shields failed. The projectiles tore through the destroyer's armor. Explosions rippled across its hull. Within seconds, the massive ship was crippled. The command center erupted in cheers. It was the first time in weeks that anyone had felt like celebrating. But Hyunwoo knew the battle was not over. They had damaged the Kravik fleet. They had proven they could fight back. But General Tharvek still had over 150 ships. And now he was angry. On the main display, Tharvek's face appeared again. He was no longer laughing. His expression was cold fury. You have made a mistake, human. You have made me look weak. I am calling for reinforcements. When they arrive, I will burn this entire system to ash. You, the Velroth, everyone will die. Taeyang responded calmly. Call your reinforcements, General. By the time they arrive, your fleet will be destroyed. And then we will destroy them too. Tharvex cut the transmission. Hyunwoo looked at the tactical display. The Kravik fleet was regrouping. They were preparing for an all-out assault. Can we win this? Hyunwoo asked Taeyang. I do not know, Taeyang admitted. But I know we can make them regret attacking you. And sometimes that is enough. The space around Talara Prime filled with ships. Kravik reinforcements had arrived. 200 more warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel and joined General Tharvex's battered fleet. The odds had just gotten worse. Hyunwoo felt his hope drain away. They had been winning. For the first time since the war began, the Velroth had been pushing back. But now they were outnumbered 400 to 20. The mathematics of death had returned. It was a good fight, Ji-won said quietly. Captain Taeyang, thank you for giving us a chance. At least we die with honor. Taeyang did not respond immediately. When he did, his voice carried something new. Amusement. Admiral, who said anything about dying? I told you I was going to help. I meant it, Hyunwoo frowned. Captain, I appreciate your courage, but even you cannot fight 400 ships. We need to evacuate who we can and— Commander, Taeyang interrupted. I was not alone. I was never alone. I was the scout, the one sent ahead to assess the situation, to see if you were worth saving. What do you mean? Hyunwoo asked. I mean, Taeyang said, that the human fleet has been watching this system for 3 days. They have been waiting for my signal, and I just sent it. The tactical display exploded with new contacts. Ships appeared from nowhere. Hundreds of them. They had been hiding in stealth mode, invisible to every sensor. Now they revealed themselves. The human fleet surrounded the Kravik forces. The Kravik were now the ones trapped. Hyunwoo stared at the display. The human ships were unlike anything he had ever seen. They were not uniform. Each one looked different. Some were sleek and modern. Others looked ancient and battered. There were huge carriers, small destroyers, medium cruisers. It looked like they had brought every ship they owned. They look old, someone in the command center said. Half of those ships should be in museums. General Tharvex clearly thought the same thing. His voice boomed across all channels. You think these relics scare me, human? My fleet is equipped with the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. Your primitive ships are no match, a new voice responded. Female. Calm. Deadly serious. This is Admiral Su Jin of the Human Defense Fleet. General Tharvex, you have committed genocide against peaceful species. You have shown no mercy. We are here to ensure you face justice. Surrender your fleet immediately. This is your only warning, Tharvex laughed. Justice? From a species we have never heard of? I think not. All ships open fire. Destroy these humans. The Kravik fleet fired. Energy beams lanced across space. They hit the human ships. The shields absorbed some of the damage, but many beams punched through. Hull plating glowed red-hot. They are taking damage, Ji-Wan said. The human shields are not as strong as ours. They do not need strong shields, Tae-Yang said. Watch, the human fleet returned fire. But they did not use energy weapons. They used everything else. Railguns fired solid metal slugs at a percentage of light speed. The slugs hit Kravik ships and went straight through. Armor, shields, hull. Nothing stopped them. They punched holes through battleships like they were paper. Missile pods opened. Hundreds of missiles streaked toward the Kravik fleet. The Kravik tried to shoot them down. They destroyed many, but not enough. The missiles that got through exploded with nuclear fire. Kravik ships disappeared in balls of flame. Mass drivers launched asteroids. Actual chunks of rock moving at incredible speeds. They slammed into Kravik cruisers. The impacts were devastating. Ships crumpled like tin cans. By the ancestors, Hyan-Woo whispered. They are using kinetic weapons. All of them. Every ship. Humans learned a long time ago, Admiral Sujin's voice explained, that the simplest weapons are often the most effective. Energy weapons are elegant, but they require complex technology. They can fail. They can be blocked. A piece of metal moving very fast does not care about any of that. The Kravik fleet was being torn apart. Their shields designed to deflect energy beams were useless against solid projectiles. Their armor, built to withstand heat, cracked under kinetic impacts. They were dying, but the humans were not just using weapons. They were using tactics. Hana watched in amazement as human fighters performed maneuvers she had never imagined. They worked in perfect coordination. When one fighter drew fire, 3 others attacked from different angles. When the Kravik tried to group together, the humans split them apart. They are not fighting like a fleet, Hana said. They are fighting like a pack of hunters. Exactly, Tae-Yang confirmed. Humans learned warfare through necessity. We fought wars on land, sea, air, and space. We learned to adapt, to use what works, to discard what does not. The Kravik learned to rely on superior technology. That is their weakness. Dong-Hyun was analyzing the human ships. Commander, their vessels are built from different eras. I see fusion engines from 100 years ago working alongside antimatter drives. They have projectile weapons that could be from their early space age, but it all works together. We do not throw away what works, Admiral Sujin said. We improve it, refine it. A railgun from 50 years ago still kills just as well as one made yesterday, maybe better because we have had 50 years to perfect it. The Kravik were trying to retreat now. They had lost 100 ships in 10 minutes. Their formation was broken. General Tharvex was screaming orders, but his fleet was in chaos. General Tharvex, Admiral Sujin said, I gave you a chance to surrender. You chose to fight. Now you will face the consequences. All human ships continue the assault. Show them what happens when they attack the innocent. The human fleet pressed forward. They were relentless. Hyun-Woo realized something important. The humans were not just fighting. They were angry. They had seen what the Kravik did to the Velroth. They had watched the Kravik bombard civilian populations. And they were making the Kravik pay for every death. Ji-Won's voice was filled with emotion. Captain Tae-Yang, why did you help us? You do not know us. We are strangers. Tae-Yang was silent for a moment. Then he spoke, and his words were heavy with meaning. Because humans know what it is like to face annihilation. We have been there. We have stood on the edge of extinction and fought our way back. When we heard your distress call, we remembered our own dark times. We decided that no one else should suffer what we suffered. Not if we can stop it. Hyun-Woo felt tears on his face. For the first time since the war began, he believed they might survive. Not because of superior weapons, not because of better technology, but because someone had heard their cry for help and answered. The Kravik fleet was falling apart. General Tharvex's flagship was on fire. His command structure was collapsing. And the human fleet showed no signs of stopping. This is not over, Tharvex transmitted. His voice was desperate. The Kravik Empire will send more fleets. They will hunt you across the galaxy. Admiral Sujin responded coldly. Then we will be ready, and we will beat them too. Surrender now, General, or die with your fleet. General Tharvex did not surrender. He was Kravik. They did not surrender. They fought until death or victory. It was their way. Admiral Sujin seemed to expect this. Very well, General. You have made your choice. All human vessels begin psychological operation. Let them hear the truth. The human fleet began broadcasting on all frequencies, but they were not sending threats. They were sending stories, stories of human wars, stories of cities burned to ash and rebuilt, stories of empires that thought they were invincible only to fall, stories of small nations that defeated massive armies through determination and cleverness, stories of humans who refused to quit no matter how badly they were losing. The broadcasts included footage, actual recordings from human history, battles fought with primitive weapons, wars that lasted decades, soldiers who kept fighting when they had no reason to believe they could win. Yanwu listened to one broadcast. It described something called World War II, a conflict where the entire human planet was at war. 50 million humans died. Entire cities were destroyed. And yet humanity survived. They rebuilt. They grew stronger. Why are they broadcasting this? Hyunwoo asked. To show the Kravik what they are facing, Taeyang explained. The Kravik believe strength comes from superior weapons and numbers. They need to understand that human strength comes from something else. It comes from refusing to break. The psychological warfare was working. Kravik ships began to hesitate. Their formations became looser. Some ships started to drift away from the main fleet. The broadcasts were showing them a species that had survived things worse than anything the Kravik had ever faced. All ships forward assault, Sujin ordered. Lieutenant Hana, Captain Taeyang, you are cleared for special operation. Capture General Tharvex alive if possible. Hana felt her heart race. She was going to board the enemy flagship. It was suicide. It was impossible. It was exactly what Taeyang had been teaching her to do. Ready, Lieutenant? Taeyang asked. Hana smiled. It was a warrior's smile. Ready, Captain. Let us show them what we learned. Taeyang's ship and Hana's fighter broke away from the main battle. They accelerated toward Tharvex's flagship. The massive Kravik vessel was surrounded by defenders. Dozens of turrets tracked the two small ships. They did not try to dodge all the fire. Instead, they used the Kravik's own weapons against them. Taeyang would fly into the path of defensive fire, forcing the turrets to shoot at Hana's position. Hana would do the same for Taeyang. The Kravik turrets ended up destroying each other. In less than a minute, they reached the flagship's hull. Taeyang fired a breaching charge. It blasted a hole through the armor. The two ships flew through the breach and into the ship's interior. This is insane, Hana said, but she was laughing. The fear was gone. In its place was pure adrenaline. They landed in a cargo bay. Kravik soldiers were waiting. Hana had never seen a Kravik up close. They were tall, heavily armored, and carried weapons designed to kill with one shot. Taeyang stepped out of his ship first. He moved fast. Too fast for the Kravik to track. By the time they fired, he was somewhere else. He used a weapon Hana had never seen before. It fired small darts that delivered an electric shock. The Kravik fell unconscious. Non-lethal when possible, Taeyang said. They are soldiers following orders. Save the killing for those who deserve it. They fought their way through the ship. Hana used the tactics Taeyang taught her. Never stand still. Always move. Use the environment. Make the enemy fight on your terms, not theirs. They reached the bridge. General Tharvex was there, surrounded by his command staff. He saw them enter and pulled out a weapon. His face was twisted with rage. You think you have won? Tharvex shouted. The Kravik Empire will never stop. We will hunt your species to extinction. Taeyang lowered his weapon. General, your fleet is destroyed. Over 300 of your ships are gone. Your crew is surrendering. It is over. Tharvex looked at the tactical displays. Taeyang was right. The Kravik fleet was finished. Only a handful of ships remained, and they were fleeing. Then I will die with honor, Tharvex said, raising his weapon. Hana fired first. Her shot was precise. It hit Tharvex's weapon and destroyed it. Her second shot hit his leg. He fell. You will live, Hana said. You will face trial for your crimes. The families of everyone you killed deserve that. Human soldiers entered the bridge. They secured Tharvex and his command staff. Within minutes, the flagship was under human control. Admiral Sujin's voice came through the communication system. All Kravik vessels, this is Admiral Sujin. General Tharvex is in custody. Your fleet is destroyed. Surrender now and you will be treated fairly. Continue fighting and you will die. Choose wisely. One by one, the remaining Kravik ships powered down their weapons. They surrendered. The battle was over. The Velroth had survived. 3 days later, Yanwu stood in a conference room aboard Admiral Sujin's flagship. Jiwan was there. Taeyang was there. Hana and Donghyun were there too. And there was someone new. A human woman named Youngmi who introduced herself as a diplomatic officer. The Kravik Empire has agreed to our terms, Youngmi explained. They will cease all expansion. They will pay reparations to the Velroth people. They will face trial for their war crimes. And they will leave this region of space forever. Hyanwu could barely believe it. They agreed to all of that? They had no choice, Admiral Sujin said. We destroyed their fleet. We captured their general, and we made it clear that if they return, we will destroy them completely. The Kravik understand strength. Now they understand that humanity is stronger. Jiwan leaned forward. Why did you help us? Why did humanity intervene? You could have stayed hidden. You could have avoided this war. Youngmi smiled sadly. Because we have been where you are. Humanity nearly destroyed itself multiple times. We fought terrible wars. We committed terrible acts. But we learned. We learned that allowing bullies to win only creates more suffering. We learned that the strong have a responsibility to protect the weak. Admiral Sujin nodded. We have been watching the galaxy for decades. We stayed hidden because we were not ready. We needed to understand the threats out here. When we heard your distress call, we knew it was time to act. Taeyang spoke up. Earth has a saying. Evil triumphs when good people do nothing. We could not do nothing. Not when we had the power to help. Hyanwu felt emotion rising in his chest. What happens now? Now, Youngmi said, we help you rebuild. We share our knowledge. We form an alliance. The Velroth and humanity together. And we make sure no one else faces annihilation like you did. We would be honored, Jiwan said. Hana raised a hand. Can I ask a question? There are thousands of species in the galaxy. How many others have the Kravik attacked? How many others need help? Admiral Sujin's expression became grim. Too many. The Kravik are not the only threat. There are others. Species that prey on the weak. Empires built on conquest and slavery. Then we have more work to do, Hana said firmly. Taeyang smiled. That is the spirit, Lieutenant. Welcome to the fight. Hyunwoo looked around the room. At the humans who had saved his people. At his fellow Velroth who had learned to fight back. At the beginning of something new, the Velroth had faced total annihilation. But they survived. Because one human answered their call. Because humanity remembered what it was like to stand on the edge of extinction. Because in the darkness of space, someone decided that no one should face annihilation alone. The war was over. But the alliance was just beginning. And together, the Velroth and humans would make sure that peace was protected, that the weak were defended, that no species would ever again face the terror that the Velroth had faced. Because that was what humanity did. They survived. They adapted. They fought. And when others needed help, they answered the call, always. The human ship moved like nothing Hyunwoo had ever seen. It twisted and turned through space with impossible grace. The Kravik immediately noticed it too. 3 cruisers broke formation and turned toward the small vessel. They are going to destroy him, Jiwan said over the communication channel. That ship cannot survive 3 cruisers, Hyunwoo agreed. The Kravik cruisers were massive. Each one carried enough firepower to level a mountain. The human ship looked like a toy by comparison. It was barely the size of a fighter craft. Whatever this Captain Taeyang was trying to do, it was suicide. The first cruiser opened fire. Bright beams of energy lanced through space. They should have cut the human ship in half. Instead, the small vessel rolled to the side. The beams missed by centimeters. The ship did not even slow down. The second cruiser fired. Then the third. The space around the human ship filled with deadly light. It looked like a wall of fire that nothing could pass through. But the human ship danced through it. Every shot missed. Every beam went wide. It was like watching someone walk through rain without getting wet. How was he doing that? Someone whispered in the command center. Hyunwoo had no answer. The Kravik weapons moved at the speed of light. No one could dodge them. It was physically impossible. Yet the human was doing exactly that. Taeyang's calm voice came through the communication system. Velroth defenders, I am going to disable these 3 ships. Watch carefully. You will need to learn this. The human ship suddenly accelerated. It shot forward faster than any Velroth ship could move. It flew straight at the first cruiser. The Kravik vessel tried to track it, but the human was too fast. At the last second, the small ship turned hard. It skimmed along the surface of the cruiser's hull. A series of small explosions erupted across the cruiser. The human had fired something. Not energy beams. Something physical. Metal projectiles that punched through the Kravik armor like paper. The cruiser's main engines died. Its weapons went dark. In 5 seconds, the massive warship became a floating piece of junk. Impossible, Ji-won breathed. But the human was not finished. He turned toward the second cruiser. This time he did not dodge the weapons fire. He flew straight through it. The beams hit his shields, but they did not penetrate. The human ship glowed with heat, but it kept moving. He fired again. More metal projectiles. They struck the cruiser's bridge. The command section exploded. The ship began to spin out of control. The third cruiser tried to run. The Kravik crew must have realized they were fighting something beyond their understanding. But the human ship was faster. Tae-yang caught up in seconds. He positioned his ship directly behind the cruiser and fired a single large projectile. The projectile hit the engine core. The explosion was so bright that everyone in the command center had to shield their eyes. When they looked back, the cruiser was gone. Just debris and fire remained. 3 Kravik cruisers, destroyed or disabled in under 2 minutes. By one ship. By one person. General Tharvex appeared on the main display. The Kravik commander looked furious. His face was twisted with rage. What kind of trick is this? Who are you? Tae-yang responded with that same calm voice. I am Captain Tae-yang of Earth. You are attacking a peaceful species. You will leave this system immediately, or I will destroy your entire fleet. Tharvex laughed. It was a harsh, cruel sound. One ship? You think one ship can stop the Kravik Empire? I have 200 warships. You are nothing. I just destroyed 3 of your cruisers without taking damage, Tae-yang said. How many more do you want to lose? Tharvex cut the transmission. On the tactical display, the Kravik fleet began to reposition. They were spreading out, creating a wider net. They were going to surround the human ship and fire from all directions at once. Commander Hyun-woo, Tae-yang transmitted. I need to coordinate with your remaining forces. Can you patch me through to all your ships? Hyun-woo quickly gave the authorization. Within seconds, Tae-yang was connected to every Velroth vessel. The admiral, the fighters, the frigates. Everyone could hear him. Velroth defenders listened carefully. I have experience fighting overwhelming odds. I have fought battles where victory seemed impossible. But I won those battles because I used strategy instead of strength. I am going to teach you how to do the same. Hyun-woo looked at Ji-won's face on the screen. She looked as confused as he felt. What could one human teach them that would make a difference? The Kravik believe they are superior, Tae-yang continued. They believe their numbers and firepower guarantee victory. That belief is their weakness. We are going to prove them wrong. He started giving instructions, fast, clear orders. He told the fighters where to position themselves. He told the frigates which targets to hit. He explained tactics that Hyun-woo had never considered. Ways to use the Kravik's own strength against them. Why should we trust you? One of the fighter pilots asked. We do not even know what a human is. You should trust me, Tae-yang said, because I just saved your lives. And because I am going to do it again. Admiral Ji-won, are you still operational? Ji-won checked her systems. Barely. We have minimal weapons and shields. That is enough, Tae-yang said. I need you to do something that will seem insane. But you must trust me. Hyun-woo listened as Tae-yang explained his plan. It was insane. It went against every tactical principle the Velroth had ever learned. It should not work. But then again, one human ship had just destroyed 3 Kravik cruisers. Maybe insane was exactly what they needed. All ships, Hyun-woo said. Follow Captain Tae-yang's instructions. We have nothing left to lose, Ji-won smiled. It was a tired, desperate smile. But it was real. Understood, Commander. Let us show these Kravik what happens when they underestimate their enemy. The Velroth ships moved into position. The human ship took point, and together they prepared to do something impossible. They prepared to fight back.